So today I wanted to talk briefly about mindfulness and how important being mindful is and just being open is throughout your adoption journey. Um, last summer, we did an in-person retreat here in Chicago for mostly our clients, are the adoptive families that we have worked with, both past and present. And we started with this amazing exercise of mindfulness that, quite frankly, I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out. I wasn't sure I wasn't sure the men were going to get into it. And I know not everybody is into mindfulness and journaling. And it ended up being really cool and one of the highlights. And my friend Sin, who is a poet of all things, and an adoptive mama, led us through these exercises. So I did this last night with our current clients. And this exercise is called I Remember. So you write down on a piece of paper in a journal, I remember ... And it's, when I went through an infertility journey for 3 long years, start and stop, 26 IUIs, over 3 years. And I was journaling through that entire journey. And I'm so glad I did. First of all, it's therapeutic, but just to look back on it, I'm so glad I did. And I stopped when I started my adoption journey. I stopped during my adoption journey, and I don't know why, and I wish I hadn't. I'm somebody who journals almost every day. At least writes down my gratitudes. If you've been following me for a while, you might know that about me. So it's something I have been doing on a regular basis for years, and yet when I went to adopt, I stopped. And it wasn't until this exercise last year that I started remembering all those details. And she had us write down on our piece of paper, I remember ... And she said, go back and remember every detail that you can of your journey, your adoption journey, no matter where you're at right now, that got you here today. And so many amazing things came up for me. And I'm happy to share them. It's personal, but I'm happy to share them. And I want to challenge you or invite you to do this same thing. And you know what, frankly, I'm talking about adoption, and I'm specifically talking about the adoption journey and how to get there. Most people are wondering, how do I get from where I am today to having a baby in my arms, right? There's so much more to that journey, as we all know. There's so much that happens before that, and there's so much that happens after that. And so when I wrote down, I remember, here are some of the things I remember. I remember 26 IUIs. I remember laying with my legs up after my insemination, thinking that would help. It doesn't. I remember my positive pregnancy test. I remember my last no. I remember crying in the car. I remember feeling relief. I remember getting excited and truly hopeful. I remember the shock I felt when I got that call. I remember being at our state capitol outside closed chambers when I noticed all the texts on my phone from my adoption agency. That was the call. I remember meeting Nancy and taking her to Benihana for her birthday. I remember staying with a wonderful family in Utah. I remember the Moses basket on the plane. This one I have a hard time saying without crying. And telling the guy next to me that I was going to adopt my baby. I remember walking into the hospital, stopping in the hallway, and texting my sisters before going into the nursery with my heart racing out of my chest. I remember seeing my son in the nursery window for the first time. I remember giving my camera phone to the nurse to capture those first moments. I remember meeting Trey for the very first time and putting him in my arms. And I remember sitting in the hospital room with my mom. Those are some of the things that I wrote down. So I want to ask you, what do you remember? What are some of the things that you remember of your journey, of your adoption journey, of your infertility journey, of the journey that got you to today? Who is willing to share something, anything? It can be very simple. You can remember a conversation you had. But I thought this was an amazing exercise to go through because it really helps you to understand how far you've come and what you've overcome. It might help you to realize the strength that you really have. It might help you to realize, oh my gosh, there's still so much more to this story. It's going to help you remember those moments that made you smile and made you cry. This is all part of your story. There was more to the exercise, but I just want to stop with that. And you can also do this. You know, I really recommend journaling what you hope your experience will be. Manifest it. I am all about and the queen of manifesting. Manifest that journey. Write down what it's going to look like for you, what it's going to feel like for you, what the journey's going to be like, what it's going to be like to hold your baby in your arms. I invite you to do this exercise as well on your own. Maybe this has gotten your juices flowing a little bit. Maybe this has gotten you to start remembering some things that you forgot about. So my point is that I know that the very first step, and a step that is going to take you throughout your journey in so many ways, is being mindful. What does mindful mean to you even? You know, what is that word? It gets thrown out a lot. What does being mindful mean to you? I gotta tell you, just another secret. The more open you are, the more open your heart is, the more open your mind is, the more open you are to connecting, the more open you are to sharing your story, the more the universe is going to respond to you. I truly believe it. Not only do I believe it, but I've seen it with my families. My families who struggle the most and whose journeys take the longest are the people who are trying to control the process, who are doubtful about the process, who are bringing in a lot of the negativity and heartache from the past into this journey. All right, I'm diving too deep. I'm going to leave it at that. All right, have a great day.